I find that often women who come to class, if they've been given a firearm, had a friend or a spouse buy them a firearm, it is not always the best firearm for them.
I don't believe that there is such a thing as a female-friendly firearm. I believe that there are firearms that are better suited for different skills, different activities, and different hand sizes.
Are you gonna purchase a firearm to keep in your home for self-defense? Do you want to eventually conceal carry one day? Are you just getting a gun so you can go to the range and shoot recreationally? Your type of firearm that you would end up purchasing are gonna be vastly different depending on what your purpose and use is gonna be for that gun.
Working for the NRA, we have access to a lot of guns. So I put the feelers out and asked a handful of people if they wanted to come in and take the NRA basic pistol class and then shoot a bunch of guns that I had been reading about for some years that were purported or touted to be female friendly, whatever that meant.
I am not aware of any other platform or any other group of people that brings such a large variety of women with different backgrounds and different skill levels all together to shoot the same amount of firearms. What an amazing opportunity, not only for us to learn about what's marketed and what is actually appreciated by the women who are shooting these guns, but getting so many women, 35 women, out there in an environment that's set up for them to be successful to figure out what they would like shooting. So I think this was the most beneficial ladies project that I've seen out there yet. When you pull the slide back, you're going to immediately engage that external thumb safety.
I would say that this project definitely gave me more confidence to go to the range and get more familiar with shooting, because before I just didn't even know, hey, what type of gun am I gonna like? What should I go get? You know, when I go to the range, I wanna have my own gun. I wanna be able to go and become confident with my own handgun. So where do I start?
When I would take the group of ladies down to the range, first we would cover range safety and range etiquette. And then we would go over the fundamentals of pistol shooting for both semi-automatic and revolvers. And so all of the ladies had a firm understanding of the fundamentals, what a good stance was like, what a good grip is like, how to establish your sight picture. They had a really good understanding of the fundamentals.
It really gave me a chance to see what I'm comfortable shooting handgun-wise. Since I didn't have much experience with handguns prior, I really wanted to see what fit my hand, what I was comfortable shooting. If I were to get a concealed carry permit, what would I be confident carrying?
35 women shooting 18 different handguns is quite an intensive and an extensive undertaking. We actually asked each of the women to fill out a survey after they fired each pistol. So if you can imagine, they would go up and fire, and they would sit down afterwards immediately, and they were able to track the results of what they liked.
What makes for a female-friendly firearm, to me, and from what I've seen from students and the Ladies Pistol Project, is something that fits their hand properly, where they can get a good grip on the firearm, where the trigger is not light but easily functioned, and where the slide, it does not have too heavy a spring.
Most women honestly think that the smaller gun they get, the better off they'll be, when it's polar opposite. The smaller the gun, the bigger the kick, and the more the recoil. Also harder to manipulate in most cases because the spring is smaller and tighter. So we usually end up putting them in a larger, fuller size gun, and they're usually a lot happier at the end.
The thing that the ladies really, really liked about this trigger was the trigger press. They were in love with this trigger. Who doesn't love a 1911 trigger? They found that the external safety was very easy to engage. I think also particularly they enjoyed the red fiber front, which makes for really fast sight acquisition, and so they, without trying, would shoot just a little bit faster just because they would establish that sight picture just a little bit sooner. The EMP4 is chambered in 9mm, which makes the grip a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to control. It's got these nice wood panels here, gives it just a little bit of added texture, so recoil management is a little bit easier.
Want to know what's happening at American Rifleman? Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
As an instructor, I learned from these women there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all women handgun. Each woman had left with their own personal preferences for different sighting systems, different trigger types, different grip textures. It was all very highly personal.
The school of thought that women do better or should be working with a revolver, as well as the assumption that it should be small, that's a very old view. It doesn't take into consideration that women are perfectly capable, physically, mentally, of handling any firearm that's out there.
I definitely do not like revolvers, despite the common adage, give a woman a revolver. I was not comfortable with them at all.
I do not care for revolvers. I disliked them all across the board. The kick was just too hard for me, and I found it harder to bring it back down to a shooting position for the next round.
So I feel as though semi-automatics are a better choice for women if their hands have enough dexterity to be able to use them. And the reason is, number one, round capacity is a huge thing. So I know in a high-stress situation that you're going to miss a good 70% of your shots. So if you're going to be missing that many of your shots, then we want a little more in the magazine if we can have it. I also feel as though the trigger pull is a lot easier for women as well as men, but most of your revolvers are going to have anywhere from a 9 to a 12-pound trigger pull in your double action mode. So with that said, that's a heavy trigger pull to be pulling with one tip of the finger.
So number 4 on our list is the H&K VP9. I think that the women really enjoyed the nice bright sights. They really had an easy time racking the slide because of the ears here at the back. They also really enjoyed the trigger. That's what scored the highest in their ease of use and placement. They really liked the texture of the grip, and the size of the grip was very accommodating for them.
Women are really searching for information. They don't always know where to go. They do know, they've heard of NRA, but this puts a whole lot of information all in one place for them. It answers a whole lot of questions they have that their friends or family don't have the answers to, or provide answers that are incorrect.
I chose to fire all 18 handguns because I really wanted the chance to see what I liked and what I didn't like. It did get exhausting shooting all 18, but I really wanted to know if there was something. What if I didn't shoot that one? Would I have liked the grip better? Would it have been easier to cock back? I just wanted to make sure I exhausted all my options so I knew what I liked.
Third on our list is the SIG P320. The ladies really enjoyed the wide slide. It's very easy to get a lot of purchase on the slide, so they could rack very easily. They also like the wide face trigger, so it's very easy to manipulate. Because the bore axis is so high on the 320, I found myself reinforcing really positive, aggressive grip with the support hand to help them to mitigate the recoil. But overall, they placed third and did well.
So we've been referring to this particular project as a snapshot in time because there are hundreds of guns out there that a lot of people will claim are great for women, and I'm sure they are. So the pistols that we chose were based on what we had available to us and what I have really read about as good for women at this time. Were we to do this next summer or next month, we would have a different selection of handguns, but the lessons that we learned from this project would probably remain the same.
Second on our list is the Walther CCP. There wasn't much that they didn't love about this firearm. Engaging the external safety was very simple. The piston system made recoil management really easy. The slide obviously is very easy to manipulate, and of course they loved the trigger. It's a nice, positive, consistent trigger press. The grip is textured, so that helps with recoil management as well. Again, they just really loved this gun.
The main thing that I learned from watching these women shoot these guns was they have a really amazing ability to just stick with it. Shooting 18 firearms in one day can certainly be a very daunting task, but I learned that just reinforced my knowledge that women are very committed to not only learning, but learning correctly, and we do want to be participants. We do want to learn how to shoot these things.
What made them like one gun over another was the ease of functioning it. How hard was it to get the slide back? How hard was it to load the magazine? Were the sights easy to access, a sight picture?
Number 1 on our list is the SIG P238, and it is a very small pocket pistol. It's a very unique pocket pistol in that the sights are very pronounced, they're very tall, and the external safety is also very pronounced. So it makes it very easy to operate. Because it's chambered in 380, the recoil spring is pretty light, so racking the slide is obviously very simple. The external safety is really smooth and easy to engage and disengage. And then who doesn't love the trigger press of a 1911? So it's no surprise now that this is actually the ladies' favorite pistol.